Good evening, Fernwood. It is your layered layabout, Neil, and it's time for us to lay one out with another episode of Mary Hartman. Today we are watching episode 232 from February 22nd, 1977. Let's see what happened on Monday. Merle was in the Fernwood hospital after his mysterious ailment. Martha was doing her best to keep him comfortable and limit the number of visitors he would get because she believed that he was there for attempted suicide. Wanda was disappointed in him, but Merle expressed that he didn't try to kill himself. And then Clete Meisenheimer shows up for an interview, which Martha tries to break up because of the suicide attempt policy. Clete starts to question this, but Wanda covers it up, pushes Martha out of the room, and the interview commences. Over at the factory break room, the boys all talk about how Mary doesn't really belong there at the factory and how it's a phase that she is working through. And Mary shows up for lunch and does her best to fit in. Mary asks a leading question, which leads to some chuckles, and then pulls out a petition to improve the working conditions in the factory. Mary is the first to sign her own petition, but no one else backs her up. After work, Mary rushes home to get dinner started and do a quick change before Tom arrives. Tom is exhausted and Mary hides it, but she's exhausted too. There's a knock on the door and Mary is visited by two nuns who have received a forged letter saying that Heather is to be sent to a convent. Mary and Tom are quite surprised by this and do their best to explain their daughter's situation, and then Heather comes out dressed in her most conservative outfit. And then later in the woods, it seems like Patty is becoming family with Godza and Zorina. Mary shows up with another basket of food and to check in on Patty, who asks about her son Garth, and when Mary says that he's being sent to military school, Patty starts to break down a bit, and Godza and Zorina invite Patty to dance her heartbreak away. And everyone, that was just the start of what looks to be an epic week. I can't wait to find out what happens next.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Whole nother dump load truck of that gravel.
Well, here we are again, honey. Home.
All right.
Safe and sound, huh?
Oh, no, wait a minute.
What? What's the matter?
Wanda?
What is it?
What is that Lila knocking around in there?
Well, yeah, but what's the big deal? I mean, after all, she's only the maid.
Only the maid. I mean, you're sure that that's all she is?
Oh, Merle. Merle. You're what's important.
I don't know. You have to come again on that.
Honey, you know that near brush with death that you had, it really turned things around for me and for us.
Really?
Yeah. From now on, whatever you want or whatever you need is most important.
You really mean that, Wanda?
I do. The place,
Yeah.
what's the matter with the key?
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
would you believe it? It's the
Right.
car key.
Oh.
Merle, I really need a key for you,
I
know?
thought my key was back there for a minute.
There's nothing wrong with your key. There's a good little trip to the hospital. I'm still having trouble with this key. I don't understand it. There it is. It's always had trouble.
Put it in.
Okay. Oh, hi, Lon.
Hi, I didn't think you'd be home so soon.
Oh, well, the hospital didn't make Merle go through the usual red tape before discharge.
Yeah,
You know?
well, I guess there's a few advantages left to being mayor of this town.
Well, not to mention being a charmer.
Well, it certainly is nice to have you home, Mr. Mayor.
Well, Lila, I appreciate that coming from you. And, you know, on that, I would say that even though my loving wife here and I did have our differences in the hospital, Well, no, due to certain kinds of harassments, one thing and another. I don't know, I can even say that, and I hate to say it because I've reached a certain kind of unfortunate degree of hostility my own self, but I've always considered that I'm the kind of a fella who can just let bygones be bygones, if you let them, if you know what I mean there. So, well, let me just say that it's good to be home again and in the arms of my loving wife once more. Well, that's enough of that, I guess. I'll go on back there and unpack, I guess.
Darling,
Okay.
what do you want me to do with this?
Wanda, come on.
Oh, I'm
come on,
sorry,
don't do that.
dear. I didn't mean to upset you.
Well, aren't you going to come back there and help me unpack?
You need help unpacking those two little bags?
Darling, I wasn't just talking about unpacking bags.
Well, in a minute, dear.
All right.
Oh, boy. What a man. Lila, will you mix me a drink, please?
Wanda,
Mm-hmm.
I sure missed you when you were gone.
Did you? Well, I missed you, too.
No, I mean it. This place is so lonely without you.
Oh, come on, Lila. I was only gone for one afternoon.
Wanda, do you know when you were just, kissing the mayor?
Mm-hmm.
You looked like you meant it.
Amanda? Oh, dear, dear Lila. There's so much about life you don't understand. Bless your heart.
But it's just that it seemed there was something going on between you two.
Going on between Merle and me. Oh, Lila, what an imagination you have.
Darling?
Just a minute, darling.
Well, I hope so. Oh, Wanda, do you know how much I need you? I think I'd die without you.
Oh, dear. There's been so much talk about death around here lately. Do let's try to be cheerful for a change.
Wanda?
Oh, I have to leave.
Leave? Oh, you must promise you'll never leave me.
Wanda?
Aren't you being a little theatrical?
Honey?
Prove your love to me. Leave, Mr. Mayor.
Lila, you are the most romantic little person. No, Merle needs me, Lila. He needs you. Oh, you of all people must understand what it means to give. To give until it hurts. Lila, we have to be very patient and kind with Merle in his present shattered state, even if it means inconveniencing ourselves. Now you wouldn't want me to deprive him of comfort, would you?
You're not sleeping with him, are you?
Lila, how can you even ask that?
Well, I hope that's true, because I do love you, Wanda.
I know you do, dear.
There's just one more thing, Wanda. If Fernwood knew about us, would that help you politically?
No, that would harm me. Actually, it would damage me quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then we have to make sure they don't find out. Swear to me that you're just going to keep company with the mayor and that you'll be faithful to me. Swear.
I swear.
All right. Then no one will find out. As long as you and Merle stay on opposite sides of the bed.
Come in. Hi, Mary.
Oh, hi.
You fellas feel like taking a little break?
How come?
Oh, you look like you've been working pretty hard this morning. Go ahead, take 5. Get a cup of coffee.
We gonna be docked?
No, this is on me.
Now, don't you feel silly? Huh? Huh? Well, I'm gonna have a cup of soup today.
You wanna get some coffee?
I'd like to talk to you, Mary,
Uh-huh.
about this petition of yours.
Oh, so soon? Oh, that's wonderful. I guess management is really interested in what labor has to say, huh? 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 Mr. Bales, let's just stand here and really try to get to know each other, okay? I'll start by saying I like you, Mr. Bales. And I mean just as a boss. I mean, this is nothing personal. Nothing.
Did you write this petition by yourself, or did some of the fellas help you with it?
No, I wrote that by myself. I hope there aren't too many spelling mistakes on it.
No, none.
Oh, well, that's good, because I'm not too good at spelling. I mean, I'm fairly good at grammar, but I do make a lot of mistakes spelling. Of course, it's really hard to tell until your eye actually falls on the page.
Okay. So, none of the other fellas had any input in this?
Well, I'm sure that they'd like all the things I asked for. You know, more cheerful color scheme, nicer smells, etc., etc., etc.
Well, I certainly must do something about this petition. I'll talk to you later, Mary.
Fine. Oh, Mr. Bales.
Yes?
There's just one more thing.
Oh, what's that?
Well, I was thinking that maybe you could launch a whole campaign on cleanliness. Do you know what I mean? Like, better washroom, scented soap.
Well, you certainly have opened my eyes.
No trouble at all.
This is very neat.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Bales.
Hello, Texas.
Any word on the meeting yet?
I told you. We never mentioned the organization out in the open like this.
Ain't nobody else here.
A rule is a rule is a rule.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but sometimes, I just get all enthused. I want to get back in the swing of things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we'll be doing that in Fernwood very soon. You just sit tight.
Anything you say, Mr. Bales.
I'll be in touch.
You got it.
Oh, come on now. I need a handicap here. I need a handicap here. Come on.
What are you doing?
I need a handicap. Shoot the last one blindfolded. Go ahead. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. God, that's no good at all. You're blindfolded. You're still 30 points ahead of me. I quit.
Come on, buddy beer. Couple of booze, old buddy.
Lord. You know, I like that sweater.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
What does the F stand for?
Nothing?
Nothing?
No.
Man, that's terrific. That's a great idea. You know what? I need me a sweater just exactly like that. That's what I should have, a sweater just exactly.
Hey, I got one. I got one I wore in junior high school. It just about fit you because I was littler then, you know.
You wore one like that in junior high school?
Yeah.
You've been wearing a sweater like that ever since junior high school, never meant anything?
No, I think.
Oh, man. Wait,
did you ever get an idea like that?
Oh, Lord, I don't know. It's, when I started junior high school, when we moved into town, you know, and I didn't know nobody. So I figured the only way I was going to make it in that school was if I was somebody. So I bought myself a leather sweater.
Did it work?
It worked. It worked so well that when we moved again, when I started high school, we did it again.
And?
And you are looking at the homecoming king of Farmersville High School. Well, thank you, buddy. You're all right.
I don't believe that.
You know, when you don't know nobody, you need something like this.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
What do you mean? I mean, you don't strike me much as a loner.
No, I'm not a loner. No, I never was a loner, no. Oh, but I mean, when I was in high school, I had a lot of chores to do, and it was a small town anyway. Somehow I didn't have too much time to horse around with the guys, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Well, you know, old Tommy Hartman, good buddies, ain't you?
Tom and me, we'd lay down our lives for each other, you know, but I don't seem to have anybody that I can just get crazy with anymore.
You mean just for the hell of it?
Yeah, I mean, I like to blow off steam. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that I got anybody to horse around with.
Well, you got somebody now.
Well, this is a first. I mean, we've had meetings in mansions, tract houses, and barns, and a very memorable tar and feathering in a cave. But I can't say as I recollect ever getting together in a coffee room of a factory before.
To know this room is to know Fernwood. Oh, why don't you have some refreshments? The Cheetos are usually good. They're fresh.
Well, is the Grand Baron coming or not? I mean, I canceled a dinner engagement with my broker to fly in for this.
No, he called from the national headquarters this morning and said he'd be here. Called collect.
Thou Alliance. The Grand Baron is here.
What hour is it?
Twilight.
What do we do at twilight?
Teach.
What do we teach?
Truth.
Who are we?
Twilight Teachers of Truth.
Who?
Twilight Teachers of Truth. Twilight Teachers of Truth.
Oh, Darrell. Merle. Good to see you. Sure good to be here, boy.
It's good to have you in Fernwood.
Thank you. I tell you, there's nothing like getting rid of all of that ballyhoo around headquarters for a little while. I'll tell you, I've been hearing some mighty fine things about this here chapter of the TTT in Fernbush. Some mighty fine things. Hey, tell me, how many members you got here in Fernbush?
None, sir. And it's Fernwood.
None? It's Fernwood?
Oh, I'd like you to meet our regional sheiks. Yes, please introduce yourself.
Pleasure.
Yeah, he's from the great Northeast, and he's from the great Southwest.
Just a minute. That's ridiculous. So happens I know the man from the Southwest and then from the Northeast. There's Gibbons and Vanderveer.
Gibbons was regional sheik 2 sheeks ago, sir. He's dead now.
Oh, my God. Snatched away in the prime of his youth.
Well, he was in his 80s.
Why wasn't I notified?
Well, I believe they wired you.
We want to get so many wires.
Yes, well, the point, Darrell, is we're in great difficulty. Well, with so many of the older members dying and no new members coming in to replace...
Now, you hash that kind of talk. The TTT is mighty, and it's invincible, and we got all the new blood that we need with men like you and these other young punks here.
Yes, but, sir, my research shows that...
Research, indeed. I'll show you some research. Yeah. My gut is my research. It never lies to me. Shh. You see, my gut says that everything is just fine. Thank you, gut.
Nevertheless, sir, my figures show a tremendous drop in new membership and a general lack of popularity. So drastic measures are called for.
What? What is it popular about us?
Well, in the first place, that outfit.
These robes? Why, these robes are the very heart of the TTT.
Yes, but there are certain philosophical differences. No one seems to advocate lynching anymore. Damn knee-jerk liberals.
Just 1 minute. I gotta put a line in here right now. I tell you, if I saw a nigger laying a hand on one of our
That's
women...
another thing that we must remember. We must be careful what words we use. We can no longer use words like nigger and kike and chink.
Well, tell me, just what do y'all have in mind?
Please, sit down. Sit down, gentlemen. Now, I propose a whole new image for the TTT, a rebirth. We can build an organization of thousands, just like we had, just like in the old days. Just a simple matter of merchandising.
Well, our group will still remain the same, won't it? You ain't gonna change the way we are you?
Oh, no, of course not. We'll be the same product, same group, but new packaging. America needs us. America wants us. But it's all in the cosmetics. Now, what we need is a new name.
Oh no.
I have a name that will set fire to every heart of every man, woman, and child in America. The glorious guardians of good. Does glorious offend? Who can rebel against guardian? And who can say anything bad about good?
Sort of catchy.
Oh! I propose that the first chapter of the GGG be started right here in Fernwood. Fernwood is middle class. Fernwood is morality. Fernwood is America. Fernwood is GGG. As Fernwood goes, so goes the nation. Now, this is the typical old image of the TTT. And these gentlemen are the typical members of the GGG of the future. Who are we?
Glorious Gardens of Good.
Who are we?
The Glorious Guardians of Good.
Who are we?
The Glorious Guardians of Good. The Glorious Guardians of Good. The Glorious Guardians of Good. The Glorious Guardians of Good.
That is wild. And we will talk about that because there's a lot to say. But let's go back to the beginning where Merle is coming home from the hospital and is somewhat suspicious, and Wanda promises that her attention will be focused on him. Things have changed since he almost died. And we get very clear that Lila is the one who dosed Merle. It's not a secret, it's something that was fairly hinted at when he got sick, but Lila is obsessed with Wanda, is willing to kill for it. Not only that, willing to blackmail Wanda about their relationship in order to keep it going, which isn't healthy. Wanda would lose her political career, and Lila would then have a woman who was broken. But now Merle has Wanda's devotion. Lila made Wanda swear not to do anything with him. That is some pressure going on. In case anyone had any doubt, we zoom in on the bottles, and they take a good moment to set this up, so they really want to make sure we see that it is poison. Lila is murderous. Now, I suppose that is fairly typical soap opera. I was kind of curious how just a normal triad would work out, or the dynamics of that, but that's not going to get explored. Now it's clearly criminal. And then Vernon Bales comes down to Mary and sends the other two on a break, and Mary is very happy to share what things that she feels are going wrong. And Vernon, on the face of it, is not dismissive, but once he turns his back, or once he starts to walk away, we can see that he's shaking his head. So he thinks that she's fairly silly for asking for this stuff. And then we get a little scene that's clandestine with Tex and Vernon in the hallway, and he's got to keep it secret. So I didn't know where this exactly was going to go, but yeah, wow. Well, we still have another scene in between. And that is really just a real friendship conversation between Charlie and Mac, verbalizing some of the stuff that I'd picked up on over the last couple of weeks, that Charlie doesn't really have a friend that meets him on his level, right? He wants to be able to party, and Tom doesn't do that. Tom doesn't let loose in the way that Charlie needs to let loose, and that's something that Charlie is craving. And really, that's what this scene is just a commitment of friendship. Now, what is not spoken about in this scene is Loretta, and Charlie and Mac both are ignoring Loretta's emotional state, which she has been displaying for them. And she has verbally said that she wasn't comfortable with Mac and Charlie becoming friends. When Loretta became Lulu, we talked about how Loretta was into balder guys and Lulu was into bigger guys. And I don't know if that's the case necessarily, and I don't know if that's actually going to be explored, but now that I see this, she liked a kind of guy that had this element to them, that they are friends because of this similar quality. I don't expect that we're going to see Loretta's point of view on that. She's just heartbroken. But there is this quality between Charlie and Mac that is unique to them. That is a kinship between them. However, it is good that Charlie has a friend. I just wish that he would make sure that Loretta isn't being left behind. And then, speaking of being left behind, we see this meeting that Vernon Bales has arranged in the break room, which he defines as the center of Fernwood. And I don't mean that as the literal center on the map, but as the central hub of the way people think and behave. They're waiting for the meeting. Tex isn't there. I'm surprised. I guess I had expected him there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. And it's very clearly set up for some kind of occult meeting with the skull candles. I have skull candles myself, so I don't think that's too spooky, but that's what we've got. And we are waiting for this meeting, and it turns out to be the Twilight Teachers of Truth, which, if you look at the amount of alliteration in that, and you may have picked up that I'm a fan of alliteration, this group is not even hinting at a certain other three-lettered group that I don't want to name, but that shares a certain goal. But let's talk about the scene first, and then I'll share some links to history. So what's happening here is that this group, the Twilight Teachers of Truth, and you know which group I'm thinking of if you have any kind of insight, they are looking to rebrand. And that is something that actually did happen with white supremacist groups in the 20th century leading to the 21st century, which is ugly. You know, when I was a kid, I remember it being, and I didn't grow up in the South or anything, but I remember feeling like white supremacist groups were fringe. Mind you, I grew up in a neighborhood that was 99% Mexican American, as I can say. So I wouldn't have been around a white supremacist group in and of itself. They just wouldn't have been there. But it did feel like they were fringe groups. They were presented that way in the media. There certainly has been a presence of white supremacist groups consistently through there. It's just that they are much bigger and prouder now than they were. And some of it is the rebranding that has happened. But it is very uncomfortable that this current show rebranding of the Twilight Teachers of Truth into the Glorious Guardians of Good would target a family like the Hartmans. Now, GGG means something else in the sex education field, so, maybe I'll leave up a link about that. So now I'm done talking about this scene, but we could talk about it more. I'm sure we will end up talking about it more. What it reminds me of is the branding concern that a powerful white supremacist group met in the 1940s, which is, strangely enough, the Superman radio show. I know that in the 1940s, Superman on his radio show fought a racist group, which was called the Clan of the Fiery Cross. And that episode there did a lot to drop the membership of the aforementioned unnamed group. And I want to share this video here, which is a conversation. It's a long conversation about a book that remade that radio serial called Superman Smashes the Klan, and in which there is a really in-depth description of the history of this group. Look, I don't need to get into politics, but they are being brought up here. And I don't know if I think of white supremacism as politics, but there are people who have political power that have this point of view, and it is not a good point of view. So I don't really know how to end today. I'm just gonna call it here. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions about the comments. Because today brings up some tough topics, please be kind with each other, and if you're racist, you can just leave my channel. Otherwise, thank you for laying it on with me, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.